Just 4.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday, March the 12th, 2019 Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting. We'll begin tonight with an invocation. I'm going to ask the Vice Mayor tonight if he might give the invocation. Following that, I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance. So you'll join me in standing.
Would you bow, please? Heavenly Father, we come to you in prayer tonight, thanking you for the many blessings that we have. We realize and recognize that this is a great nation, and one of the blessings that we have is freedom of religion. And many of the other blessings based upon the freedom of religion that we have are given to us We also recognize the freedoms that we have to meet, freedoms of assembly, other freedoms that we enjoy. We give you thanks for these. We ask your blessings upon the world leaders, upon our national leaders as they make decisions. Be with them, help them make those decisions. Be with us tonight as we make decisions that affect the direction in which the city of Franklin will go. Give us spiritual wisdom and guidance. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is for citizen comments for items that are not on the agenda. I have speaker cards tonight, but none of these for items, all of those are for items on the agenda. I do notice we have several county commissioners here with us tonight. I saw Greg Lawrence and Chad Story. Oh, back there, hiding. They're Baptist.
They are.
So how could I ever tell? So we'll move on. We're going to not, the minutes are not ready for approval tonight, is my understanding, so we'll ask those to be deferred until the next meeting.
Do you need a motion on that?
Sure, let's have a motion to defer approval of the minutes until.
To defer to the next meeting.
Appropriate motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Are there any recognitions tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to any miscellaneous reports. I don't see any, so we'll go to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are deemed to be non-controversial and routine in nature by the governing body. They will be approved as recommended by committee or staff by one motion of the governing body. Tonight, we're considering items number 19 through 26, but I would like to ask that you turn in your packet to items number 31, 32, and 33, which are actually receipt of reports and items approved on behalf of the board. So if you could ask those in your motion to approve the consent agenda, also to defer items 31, 32, and 33 to the March 26th Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting.
Well, I'll make a motion then to approve the consent items with the pulling of items 31, 32, and 33 to be, what date?
March 26th.
March 26th, to have the items 31, 32, and 33 come up on the March 26th agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now, Mr. Stuckey.
I just want to clarify, you don't really vote on items 31,
Right.
32,
Right.
and 33. We'll just put those back on. They're items I execute on your behalf, and that's consistent with the resolution that you all passed about extending sewer service a few meetings ago. It just, quite frankly, haven't executed them yet. So it's going to happen, and you'll see it on the next meeting, but you don't vote on these anyway, but it just will be noted that they will be on your next agenda.
So
Fully
is it-
executed.
All we did was pull them.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
that motion okay, Ms. Bellinger? Okay. Any discussion on it? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We'll now go to item number 3, which is a public hearing, consideration ordinance 2018-46 to be entitled an ordinance to amend the Franklin Municipal Code Appendix A, comprehensive fees and penalties, Chapter 14 related to zoning and land use application fees for the planning review process. Emily.
As you know, we've talked about this a few times, but the last time planning review fees were comprehensively updated was 2010. Since then, we've done some studies into some peer cities, and we are below the average. So this proposal increases each plan type's review fee by a couple $100 to the base fee. Is rather moderate in terms of an increase, but it does put us closer to the average of those other peer cities. And given, as you've seen, the complexity and number and frequency of our submittals has been increasing quite quickly over the last several months. So this would help address some of the staff time that goes into reviewing the plans as well.
Does anyone want to address this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Alderman Peterson, I recognize you for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval with one change on the last page. Please change the effective date to May 1st, 2019.
Appropriate motion. Seconded by Alderman Bransford. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 4, this is a public hearing. Consideration of Resolution 2018-91, a resolution initiating the annexation process and draft plan of services for the Ingraham property located at 4099 and 4101 Clovercroft Road. Chris.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Alderman. My name is Chris Andrews with the Planning Department. And before I go further into the item, I just want to reiterate for members of the public that might be here tonight or watching online that there is no voting tonight for this item that would provide support for the applicant's development, but that this is simply a discussion about a request from a property owner to annex land into the city of Franklin. The board first considers whether they would support the annexation request moving forward so that we as staff can gain more information about the next step of a formal application. The properties included in the proposed development are contiguous to the city limits south of Clovercroft Road, adjacent to the Amelia Park and Taproot Hills PUD subdivisions. The subject properties are within the single-family residential design concept of Envision Franklin, and the applicant's proposed uses would be supported by Envision Franklin. A preliminary plan of the development presented at the September 27th 2018 Joint Conceptual Workshop proposed approximately 420 single-family residences with varying dwelling and lot sizes. Portions of the subject properties are within the hillside overlay and the hillside overlay buffer and are planned to be part of the preserved open space and community amenities. Upon acceptance of the draft plan of services, the applicant will be required to submit a formal annexation request as well as a development plan and a rezoning application, all of which would come back before city staff, the planning commission, and the board for further consideration. And with that, staff recommends accepting the draft plan of service and initiating the annexation process.
Okay, this is a public hearing, and I have a number of people that want to make comments. I would ask that you address your comments to initiating the plan of service and the annexation process only. So we're honored to have Commissioner Story here, and I'll just call out the people that are going to be speaking, and you can line up behind the podium, please. Kate Logie, and John Haas, Randy Foster, Ashley Hedge, Scott Chummel, Meredith Zeller, and I'm going to put Commissioner Lawrence behind Commissioner Story, if that's possible, to honor their work. And I know y'all had a late meeting last night. You probably would like to go home. So I'll have some liberty and give the commissioners that represent this area a few extra minutes, but I'm going to try to limit the comments to 2 minutes or less because of the number of comments I have. So, and if the person behind you, ahead of you, says what you're going to say, we get it when you say, I agree. Okay, so it's not necessary for you to reiterate everything that was said. So,
Yeah.
Commissioner?
Is this on? It wasn't on, I don't think earlier. No one could hear in the back.
They can't hear you. You have to
Speak
talk
into
louder,
it.
Chad.
Okay. Well, that's normally not a problem, but, so if we can leave this, thank you, Chad Story, 1110 Old Cameron Lane, in Franklin, Commissioner for District 4, which is, encompasses this area. This map is actually exactly what I wanted to point out, because from the plan and service standpoint, I want to talk about connectivity in the roads in terms of how they impacts for the surrounding areas. Market Street, from my understanding, and I still don't have a clear understanding of where Market Street is eventually going to finish into, North Chapel or 96, I'm not entirely sure. But at the end of the day, with this development, it stops with one, short of, at the end of the property, which is still a wide gap between wherever it's going to end up. At the end of the day, what we need to look at is the traffic concerns that we've got. If we're, with that connectivity going into Watkins Creek, Watkins Creek only has one entrance coming in and out of that neighborhood. What you would have is 3, potentially 4 developments, McKay's Mill, Amelia Park, Taproot Hills, and then this new development. Most of those developments are going to be zoned to Trinity Elementary. Everybody in that neighborhood, those collective neighborhoods are going to filter out through that only entrance and exit of Watkins Creek. And that's just not acceptable because it was never built to maintain that type of traffic. So the couple of things I'd like to do is, in the plan of services, I really hope that staff and everyone takes a look at traffic calming devices like roundabouts. Anything that can separate, logically and physically separate neighborhoods between any development that comes through. And then secondly, just until Market Street connects to the endpoint, my recommendation to the county would be that we don't approve any connectivity between the neighborhoods, because the moment you have that connectivity between, now we're getting hot, between all of these sections and Watkins Creek, that's going to put a huge unneeded burden and unacceptable burden on that neighborhood. So we really need to have that entire stretch connected before any connectivity between these developments and county roads occur. So that's my biggest thing, because I think everybody else is going to cover all the other bases. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. I want to start by thanking all of you for your service and all the hard work that you put in for the citizens of Franklin. I want to speak on behalf of some of the residents. There's a group that has formed in East Franklin called Citizens of Responsible Growth that represents about 300 residents in this area in East Williamson. And they asked me to speak in regards to the property and just the guidelines that you will use going forward as you develop this property or consider development of this property. I think we all recognize that this is a challenging piece of property to develop, given some of the topography and the utility issues with it, and which is forcing the developer to put a lot of homes on a relatively small number of acres. So their concerns are that you maintain the standards which you have established for Envision Franklin and the buffer zones between the neighborhoods that surround it. And of course the density, there's a big concern about the density issues there. I think if, in talking with, I have talked to the developers, and it seems that density is about as low as they think they can go. So I think that's something you really seriously need to consider as you consider the development of this property or potentially annexation. And the second thing that I want to bring up is the issue of Clovercroft Road. If you remember, several years ago, the county generously tried to gift you our portion of Clovercroft between Highway 96 and Wilson Pike. You guys declined our generous offer, and we're back to say you need to take responsibility for that road. Particularly if you're going to consider annexation of this property, that is going to be a must. The road changes jurisdictions 5 times between Highway 96 and Wilson Pike, and it's going to need a lot of upgrade in order to handle the kind of traffic that you'll be talking about with the development of this type. And that's going to be very expensive, so that's something you're going to have to consider. But it's going to have to be done, and you need to take that road if you're going to allow this to go forward. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Kate Lucci. If my address is on there, do I still need to give it? Are we good?
No, it's fine.
Okay,
We
perfect.
have it.
I was just speaking more on, trying to understand.
Well, excuse me, Mayor, may I interrupt? We'd
Yeah.
like to know the address because I'd like to know where they are.
1655 Guy Farrell Road.
Is that county or city or?
County.
Okay, thank you.
I have family who lives in McKay's Mill that I travel to frequently. I'm on Clovercroft Road many times a day. I'm trying to figure out why the city went through the process of coming up with Envision Franklin, which I understand is not a law, and I've read through it many times. You spent a lot of money trying to put that together, and then you spent additional money trying to come up with a plan of services to see whether or not something's feasible that, to my understanding, doesn't abide by what everyone tried to come together and you had community meetings on to say what you wanted within Franklin. At one point in it, Envision Franklin states that you're trying to control density, as it's especially important as you approach borders. That the city seeking responsible and purposeful growth that'll enhance the quality of life, provide a dynamic mix of land use, and preserves its scenic beauty. As you're looking into the services that are provided here, I do ask that you try to figure out whether or not those services can be created while still holding to what Envision Franklin said. I agree that the traffic could be a sticking point. Right now, Amelia Park's gonna have accident after accident on Clovercroft because they've not put in the turn lane yet. The traffic engineers say that it's supposed to be coming. That's great. I really hope that it does come. One of the big things for me when you're looking at plans of services is safety, and I would ask that you can figure out whether or not you can actually patrol that area with enough police with the increase in crime that is occurring, whether it's because citizens aren't locking their doors, whatever it is, there is crime happening in this area, and the more homes you put in there, I believe that you are putting a target on this city for more people to try to come in here and take advantage of it. One of the last things I'll say is when Taproot Farms first started their plan of services, based on all the minutes I could find, it started in 2013, and by 2014, you guys had approved the third reading of what that plan and layout was going to be. So it's my understanding it's a fairly quick process when it goes. When the approval report went through, when you go through what the effects of it are going to be, you talk about financial effects. Financial effects were increased tax revenue, and I ask that you look at this community as more than just what its tax revenue would bring to you guys, that you look at the quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Randy Fossler. I live at 3475 Stagecoach Drive in Franklin. I just wanted to quickly, so we could save some time for you guys not hearing repetitive stuff, ask those neighbors and friends that came here tonight just to support opposing the plan of service, if they should stand real quick.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask tonight that you not vote for the plan of services to proceed with this. And the main reason is that the developer concept plan varies excessively from Envision Franklin. Specific areas that I'm concerned about are the smaller lots that Envision Franklin says should be on the inside interior of a plan and larger lots on the exterior. It's exactly flip-flop in this plan. I back up in Watkins Creek here, this development, and they would have small alley-style lots backing up to us. Envision Franklin states smaller lots accessed by alleys should be a minimum 45 feet wide. 50% of the proposed homes in their plan are 34-foot wide alley lots, 50% of them. Variance for smaller lots should not be allowed in this area. I feel that's true because the Myers Creek Basin study that we all spent a lot of time and money on last year clearly showed that lower density was desired in this area. The map on the Myers Creek Basin Study Summary Report has a big circle, says lower density, Taproot Farm is right in the middle of that. Finally, members of our HOA board and I did meet with the developer last week. He stated his concept plan is really their only feasible plan in developing this property due to the underground gas pipes, power lines, and the hillside ordinance. We addressed some of the areas of their plan that do not meet Envision Franklin, but yet we were still told this is really the only feasible plan. It confuses me why the city can't say tonight, well, you need to come back with a feasible plan that meets Envision Franklin, otherwise we wouldn't waste our time and money in doing a plan of services. And I do just have to say, I mean, Bev Aldenberger, we've had some good communication the last few days. You communicated with the neighbor today where you said that you didn't call it a development proposal or plan, you call it a sketch, but you mentioned that, you know, the sketch is just that. It's not a formal development plan, but the sketch does not meet Envision Franklin or our ordinances. That's what you said today to her. And that's why I'm asking you just to say, all right, it doesn't meet our ordinances. Please, let's not proceed with the plan of services. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Meredith Zeller, and I live at 3141 Lorena Court. I am also in Watkins Creek. I will try not to reiterate everything that Randy just said, but I also support all of his remarks. The other points you want to bring up, the roads and the schools in this area are already way over capacity. There's not infrastructure in place to support another 420 homes. Also, another concern we have is the developer. The developer that is trying to build on this property just 2 months ago was reported by a Nashville TV station to have a high number of complaints. One serious home defect was not addressed until the TV news aired their report. We'd like to be sure that we have quality home builders developing in Franklin. We're concerned about how this is going to affect our home values. A lot of my points have already been stated, so I won't waste your time, but thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Chalmers. I'm at 3064 Cecil Lewis in Watkins Creek, and everything I was going to say has been addressed. I'm new to Franklin, new to Tennessee. The reason I came here is we're number 6 on the Money Magazine Best Places to Live in the Country, and I feel this development is going to bring that number down. It's going to decrease the property value of our homes there. It's going to increase the traffic at our schools where my kids are going to go. And if you've ever tried to come out of there and turn on 96 off North Chapel Road around 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's a disaster the way it is. There's no way the traffic flow is going to suffer through that. So in supporting what these guys said, that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Ashley Hedge. I live in Watkins Creek as well, 3145 Lorena Court. I ask that you not vote for the initiation of the annexation and plan of services to proceed. I would highly encourage you to take a detailed look at Envision Franklin and the guidelines that we've put together through the Mays Creek Basin study. The city and the residents have spent considerable time on it. I know you all have put a lot of work into that, and I thank you for that. And so I just ask that you take another look at those. And when you take a look at those, consider if building 420 homes on 95 acres fits within those guidelines. I'm not sure that that really fits. So I would just ask that you take another look and really think about if that really meets what everybody's worked so hard to put together. There are many flaws with the current proposal that we've seen up here. It's not an adequate property for the means of extending services for future growth. I would ask that you all, along with us, get creative. We can really work together and make something happen that works for the future growth of Franklin, but just trying to wedge a property like this in here to extend services for future growth is not the answer. Thank you.
Good evening, John Haas with Edge Planning, Landscape Architecture and Urban Design. We're the applicant. It's a rare opportunity tonight because normally there's no plan shown at a workshop before an annexation and plan of services meeting. We met with staff about 6 months ago to talk about this process and talk about some of these lot size issues and the conformance with Envision Franklin, and it was determined that the best route to go was to start this conversation. I honestly feel like we're at a bit of an advantage because we have feedback before we're getting started. The other thing I will say is, as was mentioned, we have met with Watkins Creek HOA board. We are committed to, if we're allowed to move forward with this process, continuing that outreach, going through the neighborhood meeting. And when we make the official submittal, we feel like we're prepared to react to some of these comments already. So we think there's a lot of good ideas out there. We're just asking you for the opportunity to implement them in an official submittal with this process. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to declare the public hearing closed, and we'll entertain a motion.
I move for approval of the plan of services.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Alderman Berger.
Thank you all for coming tonight and speaking. Your comments are extremely important to us, whether you live in the city or the county. We've had a lot of communication, and I appreciate the back and forth communication. You've all been very respectful, and I thank you for that, because that's extremely important to me, that we do have good, solid dialogue where we can discuss issues. But I really want to go over a few things. It's going to take a few minutes here to go over this. But I think we all understand tonight, and staff might want to weigh in on some of these if feels to, but the first step is a preliminary plan of services, which we did in-house. That determines if annexation is even feasible. Now, again, what we're talking about tonight is not annexation. It is the beginning of the process, but it's not annexation. It's not rezoning. It is only a plan of services, because the preliminary plan of services just let staff know when they look into these things to see if annexation is even feasible, if road infrastructure services are available in the area or could practically be included by the development. The internal preliminary services, as I said, has already been conducted. Tonight, we're talking about a full-blown plan of services in depth. And I think some of the comments tonight, there was something about come back with a feasible plan. Well, how do we do that? We can't come back with any feasible plan without a plan of services. Another comment, if it's, this is not creatively extending service to the area. We don't know that. We have no plan of service. Services can be available. Someone said, I think Kate said something about services being available in safety. Figure out whether or not it can happen. We can't do that without a plan of service. So this is why I am voting for the plan of services. Our staff needs that information. If not today, they need it for tomorrow. Plan of services, we have a Mays Creek Basin over there that's getting closer to capacity. We have people coming to us out of from different parcels of I think 10 right now, or even 12, off of 96, talking about annexation in the future. How do we do that? How do we service the area? What about the Mays Creek Basin? What about sewer? What about schools? What about infrastructure? All of that. Now, granted, we're not going to do a regional study, but this study on this property will help us to take a good look at that area in our Mays Creek Basin as well. It will also give us the idea about a better idea of utilities, the infrastructure that is present. The plan of services, the preliminary plan of services, is just saying that roads are there, services are available, but they don't talk about the sufficiency of that infrastructure. That is done in the full plan of services. So what about what you saw? What about that schematic, the plan? I think Mr. Haas said something about we were getting feedback before we even got started. Well, probably true, because most of the time when we have our joint meetings between the Planning Commission and BOMA, someone does bring a plan that they think that they would present, but they drastically get changed because of Envision Franklin, because of our ordinances, and then because of Plan of Services. Plan of Services show us a ton of things. And when we get the full plan of services, a lot of things have to be adjusted. Density, for one. Access points in infrastructure. So there's so many things to be talked about. So to be clear, the applicant has not submitted a development plan. That comes later. There's no in-depth comments by staff. There have been comments to them, but not in-depth, because you cannot achieve those in-depth comments without the sufficient information. So I'll say this. Let me just say that in regards to BOMA's support or non-support of the development of the Ingraham Taproot Farm property, and I wrote this to a lot of you, conducting a full plan of service for this area is very beneficial for future planning, since it will provide our city departments, BOMA, Planning Commission, and developers, of course, with a wealth of information for current and future growth in the years to come. A full plan of service will show potential developers what improvements will have to be made, when actual development does occur, and approximate costs associated with those improvements. They will understand that. Such a plan will also provide Franklin City staff, planning commissioners, BOMA, with a solid view of the issues, the pros, the cons, the challenges, the hurdles of this land if the land is to ever come into the city, or in the future, or now, or in the near or distant future. So we're talking about the merits of a plan of services. Upon receipt of a complete plan of services, which will take, Emily, what, 3-4 months, something like that? The applicant developer will know if the development project is constructionally and financially feasible, and the Planning Commission and BOMA will then have the information to make an educated decision in regards to moving forward or not moving forward in annexation and rezoning. The bottom line is a plan of services will show us if annexation and development can even be supported. And it gives us vital information about the particular areas of our Mays Creek Basin. So that's why I am supporting that tonight, and that's all I'm supporting right now, is the full plan of services, so we have the information and will reveal the challenges of not only the future for the property, but the surrounding areas of Ward 1 and the Commissioner's District of District 4. So I fully support the plan of services so the city can obtain our vital information for this area. And thank you very much.
Alderman Martin.
I really think it's only fair for us to express our opinions about things and how we feel about things on the front end. It might save a lot of money and heartache on the plan, on the part of the residents and also the developer. Vicki, could, whoever's doing the thing, could you pull up the plan of the property? With the red and yellow lines?
It's,
The last attachment, conceptual plan?
The plan of service, and
that's right.
Is this
It has the plan of service on there.
On the-
It's
no,
depicted-
not that one,
No, I know, I've got
just
the
the
other one.
property.
The conceptual plan, is that what
No.
you're talking about?
It's the
This one,
third page of the resolution.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Just that one.
It's the second one, isn't it?
The satellite image with the city limits.
Yeah.
There, that's it.
There you go.
Okay, if you will look at the yellow line and then look at the red lines, there is a lot of property around this, this Ingraham property. This is a donut hole, my friends. It's a big donut hole. Before we even think about annexing, I will not support annexation of this property until all of those little pieces are looked at. Because every single time a developer comes in here with a piece of property like this, we are in a mess. We have arguments. I'm telling you, the cauldron is boiling with whatever you put in a cauldron to boil. Because every one of you are here because you don't want anything there. I know you don't. They didn't want anything at Carruthers Chase either. They didn't want anything in any of them because you've already established your homes around this property. And you don't want anything to mess it up. We've got homes that you know, different style homes, different size of lots. All of this matters to you. And if we annex that, which I'm sure we will do, not with my support though, until all of that property around it, between the yellow lines and the red lines, are included in the annexation, the whole thing, then that can be planned and developed without leaving a hole. For whoever sits up here in years to come, they're gonna be dealing with this mess, with everybody coming and wanting something else or nothing. So I just want, John, I appreciate you. I like what you have shown us, but I cannot support doing this to the city and to the neighbors. Now, if you get all of those people to agree to be annexed, that's another story for me.
Anybody else?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
Alderman McClendon?
I'm going to treat the question that's before us tonight as a simple, are you willing to entertain annexing this property or not question. I think that's what it boils down to. It does not boil down, the question before us tonight is not, would you approve 420 units or anything like that? I realize that there's a bubble map out there that shows that, and I understand your opposition to that. I have some grave concerns about that as well. But if I look at this as a question of would I consider annexing this property or not as a yes, no, and just that level, then my answer is yes, I would consider annexing it because we have spent many, many years planning for the possibility of annexing this and other properties in the area. I share Ms. Martin's concern about these, I don't know what it is, it's maybe 10 tracts that would be surrounded by the city. One of them is a large home, looks like, not that the others aren't nice, but there's one very large piece of property in the middle of all that. And I would not want to annex this property without at least contemplating the impact that would have on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 properties that would then be surrounded by the city. So for tonight, for the purpose of knowing more the next time I see it, sure, I'll support a further review. That's what I consider this to be. I am not committed to annexing this property, and I am certainly not committed to the 420 unit concept. I think if I were forced to say, I'd say I'm opposed to that. But that's not where we are. We take the question that is posed to us tonight, and that is, would you want to know more along the way towards considering annexation? Yes. That's as far as I'm willing to go tonight.
Alderman Bransford?
I agree. Someone mentioned that this is a start of a conversation, and I'm looking at this as a start of a conversation regarding this property. And for me, it's so important for each of you who spoke tonight and those who are at home watching that you have a say in that conversation and to work with the developer, because we want to be smart about this area and how we grow this area, and how we annex and how we include the established neighborhoods with the new growth. So I'm looking at this as a start of a conversation, and I think you all will be able to contribute, because I think you've heard a theme up here. We're not willing to just jump into anything just because. We want to do this very smartly, and we want to do it with your help. And someone mentioned that, yes, we can develop this property, but we can do it as a group and as a unit, working with a smart developer. That's where I stand. So I will support moving it to the next level so that we can sit down and have this conversation together. And nothing is decided by doing that other than let's get started and see if we can make a beautiful thing out of this.
Alderman Peterson?
I want to go back to some of the things that have been said. If you're looking at that map there, it appears directly to the north. Now that would be completely isolated. That would be the whole of the donut, right there. There's going to be, it would have, if this is annexed, there would just be a small part of the county that is completely surrounded by the city. And if you're looking at the part under consideration here, I don't want to say it has 5 sides, but if you look at it, it touches the city on kind of the north, east side, and I did say the other was north was what's going to be kind of, okay. The northeast side has the city. All the other parts to it are bounded by the county, not inside the city. And that is a concern, especially with several of the areas there already developed. So they're just not open for anything. I don't think they're going to be torn down and coming to the city to get higher density, for that reason. But I guess the other thing that I would say is there was definitely a concern about the presentation of a proposed development for this. Of course, that's very early on, but still, I would have to say I have great reservation about how many very small lots. In fact, some of the smallest that we have in the city, the 35-foot wide lots, and I think that's what, half of the lots that are proposed? Half the lots are proposed for the development. And they're all right, they may not be backing up, but then again, they're virtually backing up to some already developed areas that have much larger lots there. So I think that if this does go forward, then that would be a very large concern about.
Keep your points to the annexation
Right.
process and draft plan of services, please.
Well, as I say, the concern that almost none of it really is bounded by the city right now.
Good point. Any other comments? Alderman Berger.
Chris, can you, that, on this map, it looks to me like the Hutchinson property is not shown in the city. Is that correct? Right here?
I believe that they initiated a draft plan of services, but didn't come in with an actual annexation.
Yeah, they've been annexed.
We'll have to check on that for you, but.
Well, you better tell them, because I think they're annexed into the city.
Yeah, we'll have to check on
We-
that.
we voted on
We've
it.
been tracking the development report and everything, but we haven't gotten into specifics of everything. And as you know, sometimes the projects do blend together.
Well, we did vote on that annexation, and that parcel is all annexed into the city.
We'll
So,
make sure the map's
Yeah,
correct.
they are annexed in. I remember voting on it,
Yeah.
because they were sitting right out here the night of the vote.
Okay, we'll
So
look into
I was
that.
just wondering, because that map is not really correct on that. Because then it touches on that east side, right before you get to Market Street. Okay.
Any other comments? You ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Passes 5-2. Next is, this is a public hearing, consideration resolution 2018-105, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Avalon Square PUD subdivision with 7 modification of standards having to do with wall height and retaining wall material for the property at the intersection of Cool Springs Boulevard and East McEwen Drive.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some supportive information based on the board's recommendation in previous Bowman meetings for modification of standards request number 7. I'll bring that up to the podium now.
Yeah, we can pass it out.
Pass it down.
Yeah.
Did you get any?
Yes, we've got one of each, right?
Proceed.
The concept plan for this site was approved via ordinance 2004-61, with final approval occurring at the September 15th, 2004 Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. The original concept plan was approved for 172 attached residential units in the northwest quadrant and 341,850 square feet of commercial space across 4 quadrants of this proposed development. The revision to the plan proposes 122 attached residential units in the northwest quadrant and 492 multifamily units interdispersed within the retail and commercial buildings in the southern half of the northwest quadrant, a difference of 442 dwelling units. A total of 420,875 square feet of commercial retail office space is proposed, a difference of 79,025 square feet from the original approved concept plan, with 306,100 square feet occurring in the mixed-use portion of the northwest quadrant, separated from the existing single-family residential neighborhoods. Envision Franklin recommends a neighborhood mixed-use design concept for all four corners of the intersection of East McEwen Drive and Cool Springs Boulevard. The neighborhood mixed-use design concept provides a diverse mix of high-activity uses within a connected and walkable layout. Large developments should be master planned in order to achieve a cohesive design for the entire site. This development meets the intent of Envision Franklin by including a mix of housing types, including residential above retail, multifamily residential, and townhome residential units. The most intensive of these units are interdispersed into a mix of neighborhood-scale retail buildings and uses. The townhomes are clustered and placed closest to the existing residential neighborhoods of Ashton Park and the Village of Avalon. Less intensive retail uses are placed on the south side of East McEwen Drive, adjacent to the existing Garden Club Court neighborhood. And onto the modification of standards request. Vicki, if you could go back and pull up the third item, the third attachment. It's a map showing the location of each one of the modification of standards for the wall exhibits. Modification of standards 1, location A. City of Franklin zoning ordinance specifies a maximum retaining wall height of 16 feet if divided into 2 walls. The applicant has requested 2 walls, 10 foot, 8 foot, with a maximum total height of 18 feet in 2 walls, as grading must be kept to a minimum under the TVA line easement. Staff and the applicant agree there are no other solutions other than a modification of standards for this location. Staff recommends approval of modification of standards request number 1, and that is location A on the map. Modification of standards request number 2, location B. City of Franklin zoning ordinance specifies a maximum retaining wall height of 16 feet. The applicant has requested 2 walls, 10 foot and 7 foot, with a maximum total height of 17 feet in 2 walls, as grading must be kept to a minimum under the TVA line easement. Staff and applicant agree there are no other solutions other than a modification of standards request for this location. Staff recommends approval of modification of standards request number 2. Modification of standards request number 3, location C. City of Franklin zoning ordinance specifies a maximum retaining wall height of 16 feet if divided into 2 walls. The applicant has requested 1 wall, 18 feet, integrated into the Refuge Center building with a maximum height of 18 feet. The structure will be highly visible from East McEwen Drive, as there is no landscape buffer or buildings to be placed in front of this highly visible corner. Staff recommends disapproval of modification of standards request number 3, location C on the map. Modification of standards request number 4, location D. City of Franklin zoning ordinance, maximum wall height of 16 feet in 2 walls. The applicant has requested 2 walls, 9 feet and 8 feet, with a maximum height of 17 total feet. The placement of the traffic signal and the minimum vehicle stacking required for that intersection necessitated the driveway length and size, preventing the applicant from meeting the retaining wall height. Staff recommends approval of modification of standards request number 4, location D on the map. Modification of standards request number 5, City of Franklin zoning ordinance, maximum wall height 16 feet in 2 walls. The applicant has requested 2 walls, 10 feet and 7 feet, maintaining the structural stability of the existing fire station lot and the required minimum roadway intersection spacing on Cool Springs Boulevard, condense the land needed to comply with the zoning ordinance standard. Staff recommends approval of modification of standards request number 5, location E on the map. Modification of standards request number 6, City of Franklin zoning ordinance, maximum wall height 16 feet in 2 walls. The applicant has requested 2 walls, 12 feet and 12 feet, with a maximum height of 24 total feet. The required minimum roadway intersection spacings on Cool Springs Boulevard and East McEwen Drive necessitated a retaining wall to construct any driveway entrance into this quadrant of the development. The staff and applicant agree the retaining walls are a way to minimize the disturbance to the existing hill and the existing residential units in Avalon along Beauchamp Circle, Guinevere's Retreat Court, and Countess Nicole Court. Staff recommends approval of modification of standards request number 6, location F on the map. Modification of standards request number 7 is for wall composition material. City of Franklin zoning ordinance specifies segmental retaining walls shall match one of the primary colors of the retaining wall. That should be building. The applicant requests to use pre-split rock retaining walls in lieu of segmental block. Engineering staff has no objections over the long-term stability or drainage issue with the use of this material over segmental blocks. Planning staff did not have sufficient information on the appearance or aesthetic of those walls to recommend approval of this deviation from our current standards at the time of the writing of this staff report. The applicant and staff have worked an agreement out that's before all of you now with some modification, with a condition of approval if the board wishes to recommend approval of modification of standards request number 7. And I may have to borrow someone's copy of that.
Here you go.
No, he needs to.
He needs both
Here you go,
of them.
Josh.
Thank you, Mayor. If the BOMA wishes to permit modification of standards request number 7, wall composition material, staff recommends adding this condition of approval to the development plan revision. Applicant shall at site plan and before grading permit of this section provide a planting schedule with more than 2 varieties of vine plants as listed below. I did not study Latin in college, so I'm going to use the common name. Crossvine, trumpet creeper, leather flower, virgin's bower, coral honeysuckle, Virginia creeper, passion flower. Applicant shall ensure the plants selected will be sufficient to screen the wall in its entirety within 3 years. At least one of the varieties selected must have evergreen or semi-evergreen properties to the plant. And it should be noted, the attachment was provided by the applicant. Crossvine is the majority of what staff would recommend for the vinage, but what our landscape architect did not want to create was a monoculture. So we are looking for at least 2 to 3 different varieties of vine from this pre-approved list. Staff recommends, I don't know what we recommend, that modification of standards request. Project considerations, the applicant is providing a connection to the edge of the property for an extension of Highbury Rise as a pedestrian, emergency gate, or full vehicular connection should the residents of Ashton Park or the BOMA desire to make this connection. Staff recommends approval of this development plan, as does Planning Commission.
What was the staff's advice on number 8?
Did
we not get to that?
Number 7 was the wall composition
I
material.
thought you told us there were 8.
And then you mentioned something after that, you went on.
You went on to talk about an emergency exit.
Emergency exit, yeah.
The emergency exit is being provided by the applicant to the edge of their property line. There was not an easement or right-of-way dedicated on the Ashton Park side, so the city staff plus the fire department wanted to ensure that the board knew that the applicant was meeting their half of the connectivity requirements, but we cannot force Ashton Park to accept a connection.
Okay, then the question is, how many modifications of standards is the applicant requesting?
A total of 7 modification of standards
Got it,
requests.
okay. Only one of which you're recommending against, that's number
Yeah.
3.
Correct.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, we're still in the public hearing mode.
Okay,
wanna make sure.
let's go.
Yeah, you're clarified as far as his,
I'm good.
okay, so the public hearing is now open. I have 2, maybe 3 people that want to speak. We'll start out with Mike Granger. You have 2 minutes, Mr. Granger.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. I guess I'm speaking to 5 and 6 together. I live at 248 King Davis Court, which is in the Avalon residential subdivision. Me and everybody else that bought in there from 2005 onward for several years knew to expect that there was a commercial development included in the original PUD. And it roughly was designed as 150 houses on the north side, the hillside across from the street, and some described boutique commercial area in the lower area. this plan doesn't match what was presented to us all when we bought in there. And it's some pretty dramatic differences. We're talking about 600-plus residential units, many of which are the multifamily units. We're talking about a much larger commercial space, including the theater, which I don't recall being an original concept. It also, the way Cool Springs has developed, basically from Carenbridge, Enclave, Avalon, are essentially $1 million homes. So you got hundreds of $1 million homes, Franklin residents, Franklin voters, and having multi-family units at the end of that street, I think doesn't fit. The theater is a concern because it adds a late night variance to it. I know the theater is a nice theater, not arguing that, but it adds a late night variance to a residential area. And also we're concerned of the timing of this coming together in relationship to the extension and the improvements on East McEwen, which seems like gets pushed out more and more, but y'all would know better than that. But the concurrence of those items. So I'd like to just put those points forward to you for your consideration, and take that into account in it. And obviously I would not support what's here, but I do want to put those points in front of y'all for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary Parks? How about Joe Parks?
I would like to, Joe Parks, I'm representing the applicant. I would like to make one clarification. I think on modification of standard number 3, we have continued to work with planning. We developed a new plan which had 2 or 3 different walls and a different layout. So we understand if you vote against the modification, we agree with your voting against it, but we also have a plan in place that I think meets the city requirements. I just wanted to make sure everybody understood that before you move forward.
Okay, I have no one else speaking, it looks like, so I'm going to close the public hearing on item number 5 and ask for a motion.
On what?
On the whole ball of wax, and then we're going to vote on each modification of standard, and then we'll vote on the entire thing after we
All right.
make a decision on the modification of standard. So I need a motion and a second to get it in to the floor so we can consider the modification of standards.
Second.
Seconded by the vice mayor. Okay, we'll now start with modification of standards. Modification of standard 1, location A on the map is, specifies the wall height of 16 feet, divided into 2 walls. The applicants requested 2 walls. Staff had recommended approval of this particular modification. Is there a motion on modification of standard 1?
Yes, move for approval. Modification.
Second.
Seconded by the vice mayor. Any discussion? All in favor of modification standard 1, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 2, modification standard 2, again has to do with a wall height of 16 feet divided into 2 walls. In your pamphlet or your material, it shows those 2 walls and the varying heights there, and staff has recommended approval of that particular modification standard.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Second.
By Alderman Martin. Okay, any discussion? Ready to vote on modification standard 2? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number, modification of standard 3, location C. City of Franklin zoning ordinance specifies retaining wall height 16 feet divided into 2 walls. The applicant requested 1 wall, 18 feet, integrated into the refuse center building with a maximum height of 18 feet. Staff had recommended disapproval. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, when is the appropriate time to ask a question about this modification?
After I have a motion.
All right.
Well, I'll make a motion to disapprove the request for modification of standard based upon staff comments.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Bransford. That's open for discussion. Anybody want to discuss it other than Alderman Berger? Go ahead, Alderman Berger.
All right, Josh, can you explain this a little bit better to us? Because I understand that this is located at the refuge area, which is going to be extremely important on McEwen. And this is going to be a center, so we're going to have trash cans all over the place. So why did you recommend disapproval, and what are you doing to work with? And maybe we need to hear what the alternative plan is here too. I'd like to hear a little bit more.
Sure. The Refuge Center was initially proposed to be a separate standalone building with an 18-foot wall with frontage along McEwen Drive, adjacent to the TVA line. So the TVA line provided no screening whatsoever, and then the base plantings would not be required to go to 18 feet. So staff recommended disapproval of that. We have worked with the applicant to come up with a potential option that might work, but that is not being presented to you tonight because that would be a substantial change of the plan.
All right, thank you.
And that modification would have to come back at another meeting for approval.
Yep.
Would that be correct, Josh?
If the board chooses to follow staff's recommendation on modification of standards request number 3, the staff is going to work with the applicant to create a refuge center within, a refuse center, wrong project. Refuse center within the development that meets all of the current City of Franklin standards.
Is that good?
Okay, everybody clear?
Is that?
Yeah.
I would like to make one other point. You mentioned that there'd be trash cans and things like, this is not a dumpster enclosure. This is a refuge center, so it is a completely enclosed building that has compactor in it. So it's not, that's what we're trying to do, is make it where it's completely enclosed and you really don't see it at all from that side. The problem that we ran into is the wall height was too high and they were not happy with the way it presented itself to McEwen, which quite frankly we agreed with. We came up with new sketches and drawings that showed 2 walls, landscaping, et cetera. So I don't know exactly what the process is to come back and get it approved, but it's not really a dumpster enclosure. I just want to make sure everybody understood that.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Okay, you ready to vote on modification standard to disapprove number 3, which is the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Modification standard 4. Can't believe it, but it's about a 16-foot high wall with being converted into 2 walls with a maximum height of 17 feet. It's location D on the map, and staff has recommended approval of that modification standard number 4.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford, seconded by, who was that? Second by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Alderman Berger.
What number is this? I have to keep going back from screen to
Four.
screen, screen to screen. I know, but is it E? No,
Location D.
D. I keep going back from screen to screen, so I'm losing my place. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about this one again? Because I don't remember this one.
Yeah, there's a stream that runs along the southern boundary. Between the stream placement and the required right-of-way for the vehicular connection to McEwen Drive, condense the amount of land that the developer could have a retaining wall in.
Yeah.
So the natural features were preventing the applicant from fully meeting what the City of Franklin standards for retaining walls are.
Right, I now remember. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Ready to vote? All in favor of modification standard 4, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Well, now I'll go to modification standard number 5, location E on your map again. 16-foot high wall being divided into 2 walls, and staff has recommended approval of this. Modification standard number 5. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Martin. Is there a second? Seconded by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion?
Could you give me a minute? I'm trying to go back. My computer's not.
It's another big wall.
Yeah, I know. I know it's a big, but it's important where it is. Okay, I've got it. I just have to go back from screen to screen. and
Okay,
it's-
you ready to
it's
vote
being
then?
very slow. Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes unanimously. Modification number.
3.5 hours later.
Modification 6, location F, you're welcome to find that now, Alderman Berger.
Well,
If you can't believe it, this is a wall that we're gonna be looking at,
Need a new
and it's
computer.
being divided, in 2 different walls, if I'm not mistaken, given the trend. And staff has recommended approval
Come on,
of this
Bev, we know how much you love
modification.
walls.
I'm beginning to.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Alderman Martin. Any discussion?
Okay, yes.
Everybody- Alderman Berger.
Okay. I'm trying to understand what Mr. Granger was saying on this, too. So what is the issue here that he brought up?
There
Is there-
has, the original.
Is this gonna have greenery on it as well, or is?
Modification of standards request number 7 and modification of standards request number 6 are for the same location. Modification of standards request number 7 is the screening needed for the wall if you choose to approve modification of standards request number 6. 6 and 7 are very closely related.
One is the lawn and one is the.
One we're covering up and the other one we're just filling wall. Okay.
6 and 7.
There are 2 separate parts of the zoning ordinance, so each one requires a separate vote on its modification of standards request.
But the greenery would be on 6 and 7.
The greenery in.
6 is the wall, 7 is the flowers.
That's right.
Yep.
7 is no wall.
I would like to swap iPads with Alderman Berger. Mine's gone dead.
Yeah, well, mine keeps flashing off.
So, for clarification,
Mine's not much better.
well, for clarification, this is again a very tall wall. It's having to be divided into 2 walls, 2 different heights.
Yes.
And we're gonna cover it
The
if we,
green and the
with
7,
item
on number
7.
7. Got it.
Got it? Okay,
If it would just stay on the screen, I'd be in better shape. Okay.
I may give you my iPad.
Are we
I'm kinda
ready
getting
for
tired of
some
it.
We need
Any other
computers.
comments or questions? You ready to vote?
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Modification standard 7. I wish y'all wouldn't bring all these
I move for
modifications.
approval.
I second Marcus.
Wait a minute. This has to do with the wall composition material on the previously mentioned wall and modification of standard 6. And staff has recommended disapproval of that particular modification, but has offered this item. So in your motion, if you like the flowers and the vines, if you could indicate that you would permit modification standard number 7 if it has wall composition material recommended, such as the common names of the particular vines mentioned on this piece of paper, and you can enter that as an exhibit.
Yes, I do. I move for that.
Okay.
Second.
Not second her.
Second.
Second by Alderman Bransford. Is there any further
Mr. Mayor?
clarification needed?
Mr. Mayor, I'm assuming that they're not going to be in bloom 12 months out of the year.
Yeah, it says that.
That's a question for Ms.
No.
Hunter. I don't think they will be.
I'm teasing, you know that's not.
I didn't hear the question.
Are the flowers gonna bloom all year?
So the vines, those specific vines do not bloom all year. They will go dormant and turn a slightly different color in the winter, but the blooms will last for the spring, and there will be coverage of said wall with a minimum of 2 of those species.
Throughout the year.
Okay, question.
Alderman Berger.
Mr. Parks, I need to know, I know you've done this before, and you have coverage, and I just want to clarify that the coverage that we're talking about here, even though it goes dormant during the winter, it doesn't look horrible. It still has greenery, it still has some substance to it, correct?
Part of the requirement of what's before you says that we have to choose 2 or 3 different vines, and at least one of them has to stay with leaves and green, because there are some that will stay green all year and some that will go dormant at times. You will not have the flowering all year long. You'll have that in the spring,
but we'll have the right mixture of vines so that they will stay green, covering up the
Good,
wall.
that's what I need to know.
That's what the requirement of
I just wanted to.
what's before you says.
I wanted just to double check that, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Now we need to consider the original motion with all of the 7 modification of standards that we've approved. So are you ready to vote?
Yes.
That was a question,
Yes.
Yes, yes.
but Alderman Peterson wants to
Thank
make a
you.
comment.
On one of the conditions, it talks about the traffic is going to fail on certain areas.
The traffic impact
Exactly.
analysis
Analysis.
did indicate there were going to be some future problems with intersections in Cool Springs, and that is related to the next item that's on the board's agenda that has to do with the off-site roadway improvements.
So okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we just passed that with 7 modification standards with some variation on item 7. Okay. We'll move on to item number 6, which is a public hearing, consideration of ordinance 2018-61, an ordinance to rezone 58.58 acres from specific developmental variety district to specific developmental variety district. I'm going to quit reading. You tell us what that is, Josh.
Thank you, Mayor. This property is located at all 4 corners of the intersection of East McEwen Drive and Cool Springs Boulevard. The intended zoning for this parcel is specific development variety, SDX, 10.48/420-875. A separate resolution, 2018-105, accompanies this rezoning for the corresponding development plan. Envision Franklin recommends a neighborhood mixed-use design concept for this area. The accompanying development plan plus this rezoning meet the intent of the neighborhood mixed-use design concept. Staff recommends approval of this item.
Does anyone, I don't have any speaker notes, any additional speaker notes. Does anybody else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so noted in the record that Mr. Granger wanted to particularly focus his comments on item 6. So I declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Open for discussion. Any discussion, comments?
I'm just trying to look at this on the map. Can you
This
show-
is the rezoning.
Yeah, of the entire, hold on, it's back up. Okay, thank you, never mind. I'm good.
Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 7, consideration of road impact fee offset agreement for Avalon Square PUD subdivision with Parks Development Group LLC. If you'll pull that up on your iPad, is there somebody staff that can speak to this? Yeah, good. If you'll kind of clarify this to make sure everybody is clear.
Okay, so with the road impact fee offset agreement, we are recommending approval in the amount of $196,660.76. That includes a partial closure of the median at Cool Springs Boulevard, which is median number 1, a partial closure of a median on East McEwen Drive, which is median number 2, and then a full median closure on East McEwen at one of the project accesses. Those all, in our opinion, qualify for impact fee offset agreements, and so they provided us with a dollar figure that we've reviewed, approved, and recommend approval of. I will say the applicant has requested additional impact fee offsets as it relates to signals and deacceleration lanes. It is staff's opinion that those are private improvements. We don't grant those for other developments. It's not part of the road impact fee formula that goes into calculating that impact fee amount. And so we are recommending disapproval of that and do not believe the impact fee fund is the appropriate funding source for those. Also, traffic signals have to be on the traffic signal master plan. These 2 signals are not included on that traffic master plan and therefore also do not qualify for the impact fee offset. and I'm happy to answer any questions that you
Okay,
may have.
is staff clear on what we're considering here? The motion can be whatever you want it to be, but staff has recommended only approving a portion of the offsets requested. And if you look in your packet, that background, it lists the recommended approval of road impact fee offset agreements amounting to $196,660.76, which has to do with partial closing of several medians, or 3 medians actually. And then the other things requested by the Parks Development Group were signals and turn lanes, which staff says do not qualify under our current ordinances. So I'd entertain a motion, if everybody's clear on what we're considering.
I would make the motion that we enter into the road impact fee offset agreement with Parks Realty in the amount of $196,660.76, the amount that was recommended by staff on the 3 items that they covered.
Appropriate motion, is there a second?
Second.
Appropriate motion, second, open for discussion. No questions, you ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Must be a public hearing. Item number 8, this is a public hearing. Consideration ordinance 2018-62, an ordinance to rezone 5.35 acres from specific developmental residential variety district to neighborhood commercial district for the property located west of Carruthers Parkway, south of South Carruthers Road, also known as the Discovery Center property.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the applicant's requesting rezoning of 5.35 acres from specific development residential to neighborhood commercial. The subject property is currently part of the Lockwood Glen PUD subdivision with 16 townhouses originally planned for the site. The new proposed use as a children's educational facility, the Discovery Center, is supported as a civic and institutional use within Envision Franklin and the mixed residential design concept, and is permitted within the neighborhood commercial zoning district. The rezoning does not include a development plan, as site details will be analyzed at the required site plan submittal stage. Staff supports the request, and Planning Commission recommended approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay, does anybody want to speak to this body? If not, I declare the public hearing closed. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McClendon. Motion made by the Vice Mayor. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 9 is a public hearing consideration ordinance 2018-63 to rezone 121.5 acres. Chris, go ahead.
Item 9 should be a request for a development plan revision. This is the applicant's requesting a revised development plan for Lockwood Glen PUD subdivision, essentially to remove the previously discussed Discovery Center property, and the applicant is making no other revisions to the previously approved Lockwood Glen PUD. As a result of this revision, staff recognizes that there are 16 dwelling units that were originally entitled. I am sorry, y'all. I have my speeches mixed up. All right, so let's go back.
It's the next one.
That is the worst news we've had.
I am sorry, y'all. Number 10 is, yes, it is a rezoning request. The applicant's requesting to go from the SDR 5.03 to 5.25. That's essentially to make up for the land that was taken away, or will be taken away, hopefully in the next item. So staff recommends approval, and the Planning Commission did also.
Does anyone want to speak to this body? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second by Alderman Bransford? Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 10 is Resolution 2018-107, approving a revised development plan for Lockwood Glen PUD subdivision.
Yes, Mr. Mayor and the board, this revision would take out that 5.35 acres. Staff recognizes that there are 16 dwelling units that were originally proposed there. We've made conditions of approval that should the developer come back, that the revised, or the development plan revision would meet possibly either need to be approved by the planning commission or the board, dependent on some of the revision criteria within the planning, within the zoning ordinance. Staff also has requested that note be added, acknowledging the circumstance, and again, has added it as a condition of approval. Staff supports the request and as did Planning Commission, and recommends approval to the board.
Move for approval.
I declare the public hearing closed, since I don't see anybody coming up to speak. So is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Martin.
And we need to put add that note.
Yes, ma'am. It's been added as a condition of approval
And that's part of the motion?
Yes.
Okay, ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. New business, item number 11, consideration of interlocal agreement with Williamson County and the City of Brentwood for mutual aid related to vehicle burglaries.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded by, who was it seconded? Alderman Speedy, thank you. Okay, any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 12 is consideration resolution 2019-12, initial resolution authorizing the city to issue general obligation bonds in an amount not to exceed $34,500,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Berger. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 13, consideration resolution 2019-13, a resolution to issue general obligation improvement and refunding bonds in an amount not to exceed $61,500,000.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion by Alderman Bransford, seconded by
I'll second.
Alderman Peterson. Any discussion? Alderman
And
Peterson.
this is a reissue plus the thing we just approved.
Yes, exactly. Okay, ready to vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
$95 million in 2 minutes.
Oh, no, no.
61 and a half.
6 walls, 30 minutes.
You need to be corrected. It's just 61.5.
The other one's
My
included
mistake.
in that.
It's still 6 walls.
That's right.
So, item number 14, we'd ask that item be withdrawn from consideration. So item 15 is a draft professional services agreement with Civil Link LLC for the pavement preservation program plan development management and account in an amount not to exceed $96,000.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McClendon. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 16, consideration of amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with Volkert, Inc. for the final design of Franklin ITS Extension Project in amount for an increased lump sum cost of $13,250.
Move for approval.
Appropriate motion, seconded by Alderman Martin. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 17, consideration resolution 2019-17, a resolution awarding the construction contract for the Jim Warren City Park Tennis Court Repair Project to Tennessee Valley Paving Company in the amount of $779,321.
Move for approval.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McClendon. Any discussion? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item number 18, consideration of liquor license. Thank goodness for Cool Springs Wine and Spirits
You're gonna need it tonight.
for Brett Moore and
Still open tonight.
Winston Hickman, Dean Taylor, and Joe Goodman, managing agents. Appropriate motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by,
abstain from voting, client relationship.
who was it seconded?
I second it.
Vice Mayor seconded, and we'll note that Alderman Speedy is asked to be recused from the vote. So we're ready to vote now. All in favor say aye. Passes 6 with 1 recusal. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by the Vice Mayor. All in favor say aye.
Aye, aye,